the Shildt thing is interesting / fascinating for so many different reasons.
Lord.
And clearly there's a lot of layers to this. So, and I don't know if we're going to play the audio at some point here.
We have it.
We have it. Okay. It's also surreal in a way that this man, who was the manager of the Cardinals, so clearly we know him better than other markets. But also, when you're the manager of the Cardinals, you're almost the most powerful person in St. Louis in terms of, if you watch the news, you see the manager of the Cardinals as much or more than the mayor, the governor, Sam Page, whoever.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not some of these folks during COVID, but you get my point.
Yeah.
So it's just, fall from grace, I think, is a fair word. And I'm not even bringing up what happened in the last couple of days because I think that was a huge misunderstanding. It's more of the aspect of, here's the dude that we watched give interviews twice a day for 3.5 years as the manager of the Cardinals, and then within about 6 months, oddly gets fired for a bunch of reasons we still don't know the answer to. Something weird happened. Something weird with the treatment of fellow staff members. Something like that. I mean, you have to kind of read between the lines.
Yeah.
Something weird happened. I don't know if we'll ever know the whole story. And then 6 months-ish later, he is now the acting third base coach for the Padres, and he's holding a basically, I am not a racist press conference on the field. You know what it reminded me of? What? Remember many years ago when Mike Piazza had to hold a I'm not gay press conference?
He did?
Yes. There were all these rumors. Maybe that's not a great example. But like
that's a great example.
Well, 25 years ago, there were all these rumors about Mike Piazza being gay. He had to hold a press conference and tell people he's not gay. And I'm watching this press conference where it's Mike Shildt and it's the gentleman, I believe his name is ANTOAN
Richardson.
Yes. They're on the field. There's tons of media. And the coaches are behind him. And they're watching this press conference, and it's basically I am not a racist press conference. And it's just surreal to me that this man was the Cardinals manager, and this is what he's doing now.
I feel bad for him.
I do too, because there was clearly no intent with what he was saying. So,
man, that is so gutless, dude, to throw that out there.
Well, how about the pathetic writer who took it and ran? And how about all of the scumbag media in there who listened to him spew that nonsense and didn't follow up with one question like, hey, do you have any particular incident where you can refer to Mike Shildt as being a racist? Or
name one.
He's been in baseball for about 30 years. You got nothing? He called you an MFer? That is now grounds for racist?
My God. Scary, man.
But out in the Bay Area.
Yeah, dude. Wow, I gotta change my vocabulary. Because I say that a lot. Not on the air, though. Because I'm disciplined. What do you think, Charlie? Like, is this guy a joke? That is such a low move, like under the belt, like, what should I do here? Yeah, it's a racist thing.
Well,
so
he held a press conference, and when we say press conference, by the way, it's usually just a scrum. It's a scrum of reporters around.
Yeah.
So he said that to the scrum of reporters the first day, where his issue was that apparently he looked at Gabe Kapler, the manager of the Giants, Shildt did, and said, you got to control that MFer. Mm-hmm. So that's the words that Richardson took issue with. And then the next day, they're talking out there on the field. They hold a press conference. My thing is, we know Mike Shildt pretty well.
Yeah.
3.5 years he was the manager here. I don't think in any way, shape, or form Mike Shildt is racist. I don't think there was any ill intent whatsoever. It was almost the perfect storm of, if you had to have a liberal bingo card, this would have won Story of the Year in 2022 because you can add San Francisco, racism, and by the way, because Richardson was ejected, they had the first woman in the history of baseball who coached on the field. So this story has a million layers, but it's just
he's such a victim.
Nutso.
He's such a victim.
And
I feel sorry for him.
I'm hearing Mike Shildt talk, and they have all of these really long microphones, which I'm guessing is because of COVID, that they can't.
Well, they're
be
scared
close
of him now because he's a racist.
But then you look back, every media member was there. Gabe Kapler's in the background watching this. And you know how you can hear in someone's voice? Mike Shildt talked for about, and I guess we're going to play it. Mike Shildt talked for a minute 15 seconds, and you could hear when he's gulping in his mouth. You can hear when his lips breathing, because you can just tell he knows he's speaking, and everybody's dissecting every word that he said. And it's also just funny to me in baseball that, and this happens in sports. Hell, it happens when you're on the road. If somebody cuts you off, you immediately flip them off.
Yeah,
you
immediately Ryan Hartman style.
Right, you immediately say, "Hey, you MFer," but it's just like you immediately call someone an MFer, right? Somebody you don't even know.
I mean, how many times
it's a crazy story.
And he's going to play the victim card, of course, Richardson, and I'm sure he's getting hugged by everybody in the media like, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay, sir. Oh, gosh. Oh, Lord. It's so weird. It's bad for society. Man, he's probably like, what the hell happened to me in the last year?
That's what I'm saying.
My God.
That's what I'm thinking. And you know what I'm saying? Where
I get
you
it.
could hear when he's swallowing, because you could tell that he's looking out to just like 30 microphones, and again, he has to say the perfect thing.
It's horrible.
Because everybody's breaking down every single word that he says right there. And I looked at it, and I see this fall from grace.
I know.
From being the Cardinals manager to holding the I am not a racist press conference on the field before the game.
So he got pegged down a notch. We don't know what happened. Probably a couple little things, whatever. So now he gets probably the fall from grace, the first initial fall. And then he goes and he kind of reestablishes himself. And now, no matter what, he dug himself another hole unintentionally. And now he's got to crawl out of that to even get to the. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing.
I feel bad for him, man. I really do.
I want Shildt to get another managerial job, and I think he will still. But if you're him, now when you Google his name,
a
couple things come up. Remember the article we talked about a couple weeks back where Bob Nightingale spoke with Shildt, spoke with Tony LaRussa. Tony LaRussa had the comments where he went after the Cardinals front office, and he said, whatever the word was, if it was toxic, right? If it was toxic clubhouse. And Tony said, well, if it was toxic, it was in the front office. If you're Mike Shildt, now he had a hell of a run with the Cardinals, but you can only have so much baggage to get your next job. And so if you have the baggage, fair or not, of if you Google that name, it's going to be, is there a toxic clubhouse? And now this man had to go on the field and hold a I am not a racist press conference?
It's going to hurt him, man.
A lot of people don't actually read the next article. They don't read the explanation. They don't read the different apologies and clearing the air.
No matter what.
They see the headline that says racist undertones.
He could win 50 games in a row, be the manager of the year, whatever. You type his name in, boom, that pops up no matter what. And now, like, you know how these people are too. Like, even if they really look at it and they dissect it and they're like, that's not racism, whatever. Like, people don't do that. So, like, the initial, what Richard just said initially, saying that no matter what happens the next couple of days, people are going to always look at him as a racist. A lot of people will. Unfortunately for him, that's the way it's going to be. And now he's got to climb out of this hole, man. And he's a good guy. Like, you talk to a ton of people. Like, you're always down there, Nathaniel. Like, you know some of the coaches, old school guys, and you're like, oh, yeah. They can't help themselves when you're around. He doesn't do that.
Well, also, I've talked with Shildt a million times, and you see him not just at the park, where he's a really nice guy. I've seen him at golf outings, where he'll just come over. By the way, I'm no big deal, but he'll come over and chat for 30 seconds and all that. So another part of this, not the whole racism aspect, but also it's just saying it's funny is probably not proper in the conversation we're having, but every time Shildt really yells and screams and says swear words, I can't help but laugh, because you look at him and he looks like a librarian, or he looks like your accountant. He looks like
crunching numbers.
He's going to do your taxes.
Yeah.
And so if you go back to the incident with Randy Rosarena, where Randy Rosarena puts on IG Live, whatever he does.
No. That's a no.
And Shilt's saying, they start S, we finish F. These MFers. So every time he swears, I can't help but laugh. And so here's this mild-mannered dude with his glasses on. He doesn't look tough in any way, shape, or form.
God, no.
And again, all of this came about because he called a base coach an MFer, which is also funny to me because we go there so quick in life. Like, you could argue about something that happened in a baseball game, and you immediately go to MFer. Like, everybody does it.
Everybody does.
It goes back to Bull Durham, where what's the one word you can't say to an umpire in baseball? It's the C word. But everybody goes to...
See you next Tuesday?
See you next Tuesday.
Or Thursday.
Well, not that one. It's a different one. It's a longer word. You never seen Bull Durham?
Not in a while.
Okay.
Is it better than La Bamba?
Never.
Oh.
Bull Durham is better than La Bamba, for
good.
sure.
Well, good.
What?
Good.
But La Bamba's good. Bull Durham's probably the best baseball movie ever. It's up there.
It's up there.
Anywho.
What's the word?
I'll tell you in the break.
Okay.
It's basically it's an act.
It's 2 words, isn't it?
Is that 2 words?
I don't know.
Hyphenated? I'm not sure.
Some kind of sucker?
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Well,
there you go.
I've heard that a couple times too. Yeah, man. It's unfortunate for him. It really is. What do you got?
Well, at some point, society has to hold people who accuse people of calling somebody a racist accountable. And Gabe Kapler, who was also quoted in the story as saying that he 100% backs his coach and, would never question his whatever. Like, it's at some point you got to literally sit here and go, we are crumbling as a society because we're just offering this extreme position on completely undermining somebody's character.
Yeah, dude.
Without any shred of evidence. And then it immediately gets reported as fact. And now we have to have a little pseudo press conference on the field where we've got one man trying to defend his character after one man just assassinated it over nothing.
Yep. Assassinated.
And he has, and there's no accountability. Now, can you imagine if it were flipped? Like, you know what the accountability would have been had he actually been a racist?
Man.
He'd be fired and excommunicated from the game.
Oh, yeah.
But instead, it's just something that we throw out now in society. The word has been so watered down.
I know, man. It's crazy.
And there's no accountability.
And there's a lot of crazy people out there that you can throw that at, It's just, man, when you throw it out loose like that, it's just, I don't think they realize the damage that you're doing to a guy. Like, you can't crawl out of that, man. Like, that's tough. It really, really is.
So this ESPN article, I was watching yesterday, and there was the first press conference with Richardson where he's speaking to the media. So just for some context for folks, I'm reading from the ESPN article. So Shildt yelled, quote, "You need to control that MFer," Richardson told reporters. At that point in time, I went to the top step and said, "Excuse me," because I couldn't believe what I heard. At that point in time, Gibson, the crew chief, so this is the umpire, decided to toss me from the game. So he tossed Richardson from the game.
Yep.
Richardson says, quote, "I say this because his words were disproportionately unwarranted and reeked undertones of racism when he referred to me as, quote, that MFer, as if I was to be controlled or a piece of property or enslaved. I think it's just really important we understand what happened tonight." And the second part that's equally disappointing is that me being tossed by the umpire empowers this coach to continue to have conversations like that with people like me, and that's really unfortunate. That's what happened tonight.
Wow.
End quote.
Man, oh man.
This guy's the baseball version of Juicy Smollett.
That's what you got. Smolette.
Yeah. And this is what happens in a society that's filled with mouth breathers on MSNBC and CNN. And when you spew this kind of BS like they do in the FBI or the administration does, it's a white supremacist country, all this nonsense. This is what you get. This is the end result, and it's horrible for society.
And there are some bad dudes out there. Don't get me wrong. Like there are. I mean, they're all over the place. But in this case, it's so ridiculous. And again, poor Shildt. Like he's a year ago, if he's just sitting there winning 17 games in a row, like if he can go in time in the future and be like, "This is where I'm at in the year," like wow, he'd be like, "Oh, the hell did I do?" Well, not much. He didn't do much, Shildt. He didn't do much.
I felt bad watching, again, just this fall from grace. I think he's going to be back as a manager. But even the fact that he's a bench coach.
I know.
He was the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Wow, on top of the world.
He really was.
Yes.
On top of the world. One of the greatest organizations in baseball, running the show, 17-game winning streak, finished the season strong, lost in the wild card, but good team coming back. The man thinks he's getting a phone call to get a contract extension.
I know.
And he gets fired in that phone call. Then he's trying to find a gig. Can't get one.
He's going to be coaching
He's a bench
Bananas
coach.
or whatever they're called.
Savannah Bananas.
I know. No, seriously. I don't mean to. I'm telling you. He's going to have. Dude, he's in a big time hole. And he really didn't do anything. It's crazy how that happened so fast.
I think it's such a disservice, though, to undermine like people that actually deal with racism making that statement, though. Like people try to say, I'm just trying to bring awareness and stuff. Like Jussie Smollett tried to bring awareness to hate crimes. Yeah. But you're undermining that kind of thing when you do that.
I'm trying to bring awareness, but I'm gonna put him in such a hole to where he's not even gonna have to get a job for 2 years. But I brought awareness to everybody. Like it's just absolutely crazy. But Brony chimes in and goes, Nate the Great is a blessing to society. Gino's like, there's a lot of racists in baseball. If calling a guy an MFer is a criteria, that is literally the culture of the game. Dude, just go watch some of these guys get ejected, some of these old school managers, man. I mean, everybody's chirping each other. But I will say this, like, I was going to say this yesterday, but, man, even just watching, like, Albert hit that bomb, like, Shultz walking on that field with all that crowd, that the sea of red everywhere. You watch some of these other baseball games, and they hit a bomb. No one's there. No one cares. I'm talking most places. Like, you watch, it's like, it's so scarce. There's a couple people here. There's a couple people there. You go to Busch Stadium. And you walk out, and Halbert hits a home run. It's like getting a game 7 winner, Patty Maroon, against double overtime in the second round. Like that kind of like emotion was there. Like it's so unbelievable to play for the Cardinals. You don't really realize it until you watch some of these other places where no one's anywhere, no one even cares. You can hit bombs all you want. A couple people are clapping. They're 90 years old in the corner. You go to Busch Stadium, it's like winning the Stanley Cup every time you hit a bomb. The place goes crazy. It's such a luxury. And now he's just, I don't know. Jeez Louise.
How do you think, we can't play the video because it's just laced with curse words, but Jimmy Leyland, when he kicks Barry Bonds out of spring training, and he's like, this is my mother effing baseball team, and you're not going to sit here and ruin it. Get the F out of here. And he's kind of pointing at him and in his face. But that, he was the general, right?
Yeah.
And now, if you saw that, the victim would be Barry Bonds, and they would say, look at this. It's like he's a slave on Jim Leyland's Pittsburgh Pirates team, and this is not how we act in society. It's like, wow.
Yeah, I know.
That's how much we've fallen from grace.
It's scary, man. It really, really is. He needs to be filed for, Mitch chimes in and goes, he needs to file suit for slander. I feel bad for the dude. Can he do that? Sometimes you got to put your foot down. I'm telling you, Shultz not going to get another job, dude.
That's why I wouldn't have gone out there and done the now, Shildt is like the utmost professional.
He is.
And that's why I think he went out there almost like in a caring way to be as supportive of this ANTOAN Richardson.
Yeah.
But in reality, I don't think he should have done that. I think he should have made that loser sit out there by himself and hold his own stupid press conference and put egg on his face and have to apologize on his lonesome. And then Shildt could probably come after it another time and say, yeah, I don't know why he went down that route. It's like when Clay Travis went on CNN and said that he believes in the First Amendment and boobs. And they were like, you need to apologize right now. And then what did he do? He donated like like $50,000 or some huge amount to the Susan B. Komen.
Yeah.
And he was like,
breast cancer awareness?
Yes.
Yep.
He was like, that's how I'll pledge my support. I'm not going on your stupid program.
Sometimes that's what you have to do, man. When you know you're in the right and you know you're just getting rocked by somebody just throwing slander at you, sometimes you got to put your foot down, because if you don't and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, then you're there. Now they own you. But if you put your foot down, like, I don't give a damn, I'll roll the dice on this, but I'm not apologizing. Sometimes there's a case for that. In this sense, I don't know, man. You're living in San Diego. You're trying to do everything you possibly can to be a coach in any fashion down there, make a little bit of money, because I don't know if you're going to roll the dice. If I'm Mike Shildt in this particular situation, I don't know if I was going to roll the dice on that. But some people, you should do that, man. You got to protect yourself.
Well, that's my thing. Is I think, unfortunately, he had to clear the air.
Yeah, I know.
If you're him, you have to actually explain what happened. Because when I first saw this, you see the headline, you see the word racism, and I'm like, what?
I know.
So I think you have to clear the air.
I agree.
If you're Shildt, you have to let people know excuse me, what actually happened.
But you could say, this is absolutely ridiculous. I just called and explain it and be like, I don't know why you'd even say that. Now the headline, I don't know. You could defend yourself in a different way, maybe kind of put him in the spot a little bit, Richardson, that is. But I don't know, man. Every situation's different. But again, the bottom line is I really do feel bad for Mike Shildt. I truly, truly do. What's up?
At what point did media-written articles become biased? Because back then you used to just report it as constructive as it was, and then you would let people interpret what to make of it.
Oh, that way.
But that's what people are doing,
a long time ago. What's that?
That's what people are doing. If we were in San Francisco, this may be playing differently. I'm guessing it is playing differently.
So say that one more time. Sorry.
No, I'm saying the reporting of this story that started was, and we didn't play the audio, but I went into this yesterday. I was watching MLB Network pretty much all day long. So they played some of this.
What, a tornado's hitting the school, but go ahead.
Nah, I was looking outside. One wind gust.
I was looking outside.
But it started with folks reporting what Antoine Alexander said. He spoke that first day.
Yeah.
That's where he said, whatever the exact quote was, that he believed that the comments reeked the undertones of racism. So that's how this started, with folks reporting what Antoine Alexander said. Because until then, nobody knows what was said. They just saw a dude get ejected from a game, and they saw a couple coaches yelling at each other. And oh, by the way, this is where I was saying about the liberal bingo card. The big story from that game was what happened as the result of the ejection, which was the first woman in the history of baseball coaching a game on the field in Major League Baseball in a regular season game.
What's her name so we can give her a little shout out?
Knackin, I believe, is her last name.
I was going to say, it's her first name? Like, that's interesting. Now, how'd she get that gig? It's like working in the front office.
Alyssa Knackin.
Alyssa Knackin.
Working in the front office, worked her way up, grinded it. Do we know her story?
I do not know her story, but we can read about it here.
Because that's interesting. I mean, it really is.
She was born in 1990. She played college softball.
Good for her. I didn't know she was that young.
I love softball.
So she joined the Giants baseball ops department as an intern in 2014. Worked for the team on health and wellness programs, master's degree in sports management, chief information officer for the baseball team, assistant coach, and then first full-time female coach in MLB history, first woman to coach on the field in a Major League Baseball game during an exhibition game back in the day, and then what happened a couple days ago.
What's she coaching? Like, what is she telling the guys, you think? What's she teaching the guys?
Don't get picked off at first base.
Don't get picked off first base?
What does a first base coach do?
Well, she subbed in as the first base coach, which, by the way, remember, Shultz was also subbing in. Shultz wasn't supposed to be a field coach. Remember, he started with the Padres. He was supposed to work for Major League Baseball. Then he got some type of consultant type role with the Padres. I don't think he's supposed to be the everyday.
But let me ask you with her. What's her first name again? I'm sorry,
Alyssa.
So what would her role be? So like explain to like what would
she's one of the coaches.
What would she tell the guys though? Like what kind of scenario would she have to talk to a guy in the league that's been in the league 10 years and say, hey, you're doing this wrong, do this? Like what would that be?
So she was the chief information officer. Sometimes that's a liaison between the analytics department and the team and the field staff, right? Okay. I mean, and maybe this is a big reason that Shildt left. We heard some rumblings about how he possibly felt about the analytics department and potentially Michael Gersh. And a lot of times there are the folks from the analytics department, they have to bring the information down to the field staff and best communicate that to the manager, to the coaches, to the players.
So she's not sitting guys down that are making, $30 million and saying, hey, you're doing this wrong. This is what you need. It's all like, here are the numbers. Here you go. Or she wouldn't, I don't know. I'm just trying to think like sometimes you're going to have to yell at a guy, right? Like you're a part of the coaching staff. Like Otter yells at guys. Everybody on the bench yells at guys. In practice, doesn't matter who you are. So like, I don't know. It'd be interesting. I want to see a clip of her yelling at some $30 million dude. I just want to see it. Good for her, though, man. Good for her. 618 chimes in and goes, Mike is in the wrong here. He shouldn't have lost his cool and went over to the San Francisco dugout dropping MF bombs. Rumor on the street is part of the reason he was let go in St. Louis is because he tried intimidating coaches. Philosophical differences. Well, if he's trying to intimidate anybody, it probably ain't going to work. Okay? Like, Poindexter ain't going to intimidate nobody. Like, I don't, like, it's just, Shultz not going to intimidate anybody.
But that text is not wrong in the sense of something like that happened in the Cardinals organization. Maybe we never know the true story, but that's the reason the man was let go. Because John Mozeliak, and I take him at his word, it did not have to do with baseball decision-making. Yep. It did not have to do with the fact that he left Alex Reyes in the wild card game. John Mozeliak said, when they came back from Los Angeles, Mike Shildt was not going to be fired. And the reporting of the fact that Shildt may get a contract extension, I think if Mike Shildt answers the phone and he thinks that conversation is about getting a contract extension, I think it's fair to say that reporting was accurate, which is why John Mozeliak, the first words he said to Mike Shildt was, this is from that Bob Nightingale article, is this conversation is not going to go the way you think it's going to go, Mike.
I heard he was just cussing too much, and the guys didn't like it. You know, you got to watch your language, okay? Kobe Rasmus' dad chimes in. San Francisco's a bunch of grass-eating hippies, so you're probably right, Charlie. They eat a lot of grass up there?
I think they smoke a lot of grass.
Kobe chimes back in and goes, did you guys see the Aaron Judge ball? Did you guys see the Aaron Judge ball that the announcer called a home run and got caught in the warning track? I did see that. It was pretty funny. Center field, he's like, it's gone! Oh, it's going! Oh. No, he caught it. No, he caught it. We saw that a couple times lately, I think. Rumor Shildt tried to buckle a bow tie.
In a fight?
Oh, wow.
I doubt that.
That'd be really cool
I
to
think John Mozeliak could take Mike Shildt, by the way, in a fight. Just saying.
I think
Not that this is relevant.
They both probably slap each other around and it'd be kind of funny to watch.
Dude, the worst part about for Shildt is probably the most criticism you would find about Shildt going back his 20 years in the Cardinals organization is that this dude, he was so meticulous. He would keep a yellow legal pad. He had a yellow legal pad from each year he managed or was doing anything. And he was... Some of the guys were like, man, this guy's a little overboard. He's having like team meetings at second base like it was a little league-ish in the minors. But, I mean, he was genuinely one of the most humble human beings for holding that title of a pretty prestigious organization.
Yeah, he could have peacocked it around. Now, he was always calm, cool, not about him, not attention-seeking or anything like that.
But he wasn't, though. And here's the part. So I do think it's fair to say when you look at all of these incidents that the Mike Shildt we know from looking at the librarian, there's clearly the more aggressive MFer side because we've seen that now a couple times. And by the way, I'm not saying that's racist, but he clearly can yell MFer very quickly at a coach. He clearly can have a speech when Randy Arozarena is filming it where he shows a side that maybe you're not thinking is the Mike Shildt side. So the fact, let's be real, if Mike Shildt was fired for something in the front office of how he treated other people, I think we have seen a side where Mike Shilt's temper changes pretty quickly. I think
right.
that's
and
fair
it looks
to say.
very goofy. When Berube
does look goofy.
When Berube does it, you're like, yep. But when Mike Shildt does it, it's like he's like just something came out of him, like a monster coming out of his body.
It doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit at all.
It just doesn't fit. I hate to say that, but because Craig Berube was, a 17-year NHL vet, fighting dudes, he still looks like if you saw him at a bar, you don't want to mess with him.
Nope.
When he says it, you believe it. All due respect, Shildt. I love you, buddy.
Yeah.
When Shildt yells, you kind of maybe laugh a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I've had a couple of those coaches where they're really calm and you're like, and all of a sudden they get mad. You're like, yeah, that's not you. Just chill out. You're making us laugh. You're supposed to intimidate us. You're making us laugh. That's not a good look. Let me 855-282-8255. Jobu's like, guys, Shildt is lucky Gabe Kapler didn't jump out of there and snap him in half. See a tough dude?
He's a big boy.
Big boy. Has anybody asked LeBron what he thinks? What's Bowtie going to do? Throw some Starbucks at him? Bowtie is nuttin'. It's a shame the term racism is so watered down now. Shite like this, you're lucky I saw that right. Shite like this doesn't help anybody who experiences true racism. Man, I get that, man. Now everything's like, no. But there is some out there, man, and that needs to be amplified. Not this just goofy victim stuff, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.